It is the 59th anniversary
59
of the Beatles telling Pete Best to beat it. He put the beat it in Beatles and putting Ringo Starr in. And that led us to have this poll question. Go over there, Chris.
Yeah, who's the best replacement in sports or pop culture? Still Tom Brady leading, 56%. Brady in for Bledsoe. Lou Gehrig is now overtaken. He's at 18%. Ringo for Pete Best, 16%, and Kurt for Trent Green, 10%.
I think it's the Trent Green part about it. No, I'm just saying. I mean, Kurt.
I know, but Kurt popping in is like he was an unknown.
Did Kurt respond to any of this? Because he's out there in the Twitterverse.
Yeah, hold on. I haven't seen him.
I'll hit it with a retweet.
He hasn't.
Make sure that he sees it.
Yeah. You got some Russell Wilson for Matt Flynn.
Yep.
Hugh Laurie in on House. This one I thought was pretty funny. Grunge for hairbands.
Okay.
In the early 90s.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Here's a really good one. Michael J. Fox for Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly.
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
Okay. Here's one. Ready? Steve Cohen for the Wilpon family.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Pretty good.
Because how many times did the Wilpons preside over a rotting, fetid corpse of an offense? How many times have they watched all of their star pitchers that they were willing to pay get 0 run support? And they didn't say a word. This guy, Steve Cohen, Stephen A. Cohen, too, on Twitter, pops out his phone or his iPad or whatever. And as the Mets now fall under 500 for the first time since the first week of May, it's hard to understand how professional hitters can be this unproductive. The best teams have a more disciplined approach. The slugging and OPS numbers don't lie. And he hits send.
Wow.
Oh, baby. I'm just wondering, did his finger hover over the send? Or did he just screw it? I'm Stephen A. Cohen, too.
He said what he said.
Yeah, I own the team.
You know?
I got 12 zeros.
Speaking of unproductive, that tweet would fall under that category. Although I'll say this. What if there was a Twitter handle from 1976 through 2005, for instance? If Twitter existed in that 30-year stretch.
Okay.
At the boss.
And you ain't talking about Springsteen.
What would Steinbrenner's Twitter feed have looked like?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
Steinbrenner did have a feed. It was the famed Rubenstein and Associates PR firm. He had a PR firm in New York City. He would call up Rubenstein, and he would bark something out, and they would type out some sort of release, and suddenly that statement would be sent to like the Daily News and the Post and all that stuff and Newsday. That's the way it worked back in the day. But what if he just had the ability to just bust out his phone, sitting there wherever he was sitting, either at home on his gold toilet, watching on WPIX TV, or sitting there in the stadium, watching Steve Trout spit it up and Ed Whitson spit it up and all of that stuff. What would it have looked like? This is tame compared to what it would have been.
Oh, yeah.
But
this is a legitimate question.
This is...
Yeah, he's just asking.
Yeah, he's just asking the question.
How can professional hitters, at least he called them professional hitters, be so unproductive?
That's very polite.
Well, there's an answer. It's the New York Mets.
Polite for Twitter.
It's the New York Mets, baby.
Meet the Mets.
I mean,
how's that going to help? How's that going to happen? Every New York Met today, in the middle of this awful slump, which is probably making their lives totally miserable. And, hey, at least DeGrom's second MRI came back with less inflammation, meaning he might return by late September. So this guy's out. Syndergaard's about to come back, and they're going to throw him in the pen-ish. Every Met's going to have somebody come up to him today. So what do you think of what your owner had to say? Which one's going to take the bait? Which one's going to be like the Billy Martin? Will Rojas be the Billy Martin and fire back? Say this is not helpful? This is not helpful. He should stick to owning. We'll run the team. Because Billy Martin, as you remember, would fire back in the press.
Right,
and that's why he was fired and then rehired 5 times.
It would be great if Pete Alonso would just be like, yo, this isn't helping.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
What are you going to do? Send a polar bear away?
Pete probably agrees with him.
If this was a TV show, Stephen A. Cohen would send Wags into the locker room and give him a speech and tell him to suck it up.
Or
Otherwise, it's the pole for them.
Or take him out for a night on the town.
Life on a pole. Take the pole and actually hit the ball with it. Hour 3 coming up.
Yo, some of these batting averages for the Mets, TJ.
They're
It's
awful.
not just the Mets. It's Major League Baseball writ large. Didn't you when I was out, you sent out a tweet of a minor leaguer who strolled to the plate using the Masters theme.
Yeah, it was great.
And he had a caddy with him and
hilarious.
a golf bag with a bunch of
with a yardage finder,
with a yardage finder looking out at center field and a yardage book, and then a bunch of clubs in the bag and then a bat. They took out the bat and the guy then stepped in the plate. I mean, talk about calling your shot and showing up the pitcher before and putting a target on your back, and then but also being viral. I mean, that was incredible.
It was incredible.
And you're like, I don't care if this guy bats a 176. He should bring him in the majors.
Bring him up.
And you see what my response was?
You'd fit right in.
Yeah, just like these days, batting 176 is no longer a reason to keep someone in the minors.
It's also not, people aren't embarrassed by him.
They're not.
Right. Which is the other problem. But.
So, how can hitters be so unproductive? It's kind of across the entire Major League Baseball. And they also got beat by the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
The Giants. San Francisco Giants, one of the biggest stories of the year.
Yeah.
78 wins.
Dude, man. Here we go.
Look, it was a nice
Well, it's a
spring,
nice back-
summer while it lasted. I was very
same
invested
for
in
me.
baseball. Every
know,
day
me
I
too.
get the New York Mets lineup gets tweeted to me.
Me too.
So
It's over.
it was fun while it lasted.
I mean, I haven't said a word, have I?
No,
haven't said a word.
no.
And you were the king of April and May tweets with brooms and sweeps and in my face about how bad the Yankees were and
By
how
the way,
great the Red Sox
They were bad.
I feel
No,
like
but I mean-
you were overreacting a lot earlier in the season because when you were going off and about how bad the Yankees were, I'm looking. The Mets were in first place in our division, and we were like one game ahead of the Yankees. And I'm
Dude,
like, well, if
the
you
Yankees-
guys are awful, then what are we doing right now?
I will tip the cap to
division is
Brian
rough.
Cashman. Getting Gallo and getting Rizzo to put 2 left-handed hitters in the lineup has reconfigured everything.
Yes.
It's jolted the
Well,
entire
and also
team.
going to Chad Green as the closer. That guy's amazing.
Stop it. He's terrible. He's terrible. He's been awful.
Not-
Dude,
not-
he got his. It was
not
his
yesterday.
No, it was a change of pace.
Not yesterday.
I wanted to leave him in the corn too. I want to leave a lot in the corn. Yankees haven't lost since losing in the corn like that either. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.